going to say that this is the DA that has done some wrong things in dealing with the case of Mumia, and we're here to put pressure and to get other people to put pressure on him to do the right thing. There was a filing that was done on February the 3rd. A lot of people was hopeful that Krasner will come out and point out things that was wrong that happened in Mumia's case. You know, some of the things he dealt with was the key facts and facts, the Schobert case, testimony, and what the DAs did during that time on that. I want to make sure that what I say is right. Could you hold this? Right there. So I wrote down everything to make sure that people understand what's going on here. Mumia's Batson issue was turned down. Batson issue back before the court, and DA Krasner argues that Mumia's Batson claim is invalid. I recommend focusing on the unjust 2008 Third Circuit Court ruling, citing Judge Thomas Ambrose's dissent, making the argument that, quote, because of this unjust ruling, it is good that the issue is back in play, end quote. What matters is that D.A. Krasner argued in his brief that Mumia's current Batson claim is not valid. But Judge Thomas Ambrose said it is valid in 208. To argue against it, the brief cites a bunch of different case presidents. Very messy. Don't even try to tap. I'm not even going to try to tap you, Daddy. Here is the Batson section from the new petition. One example of the injustice is the Batson issues regarding racial discrimination in the jury selection process. Even before your office's discovery of the 6 previous undisclosed file boxes, we already knew that the trial prosecutor, Assistant DA Joseph McGill, used 10 to 11 of his 15 preparatory challenges to strike otherwise qualified black potential jurors. In his 2008 dissenting opinion, Federal Third Circuit Judge Thomas Ambrose argued that this one fact alone was sufficient evidence for granting Abu-Jamal a Batson hearing. Therefore, he argued that the Third Circuit Court 2-1 ruling against Mumia Abu-Jamal's Batson claim was unfair, and he wrote that the ruling went against the grain of our prior actions. I see no reason why we should not afford Abu-Jamal the courtesy of our presidents. You know, here judges argue. First, Judge Ambrosio point out that Mumia was due this relief. It was right for him to get it. Okay? Then it say, when in the year 2009, the United States Supreme Court then ruled against considering Mumia Abu-Jamal's appeal to the 2008 Third Circuit Court ruling. It effectively ended Abu-Jamal's Batson claim. However, upon inspecting the content of the 6 file boxes that he handed over to, I got down here, thankfully handed over to that he handed over to the defense as the law requires. Abu-Jamal's defense team found two major pieces of evidence. The first, a handwritten letter to Assistant District Attorney Joseph McGill, penned by Robert Schobert, a key prosecution witness. In the letter, Mr. Schobert asked for his money, which suggests Mr. Schobert's testimony against Mumia may have been bribed.
Yes, yes, yes.
I just want to read this legal stuff, right here, because we will get down to it, and kick out the truth. The boxes also revealed other handwritten notes on original files, closely tracking the race of jurors. These notes are new evidence of racial discrimination. In Joseph McGill's selection of the 1982 trial jury, and as a result, the Batson issue is now up for reassessment and review. Oh, why the hell is it up for reassessment?
Right.
When the Third Circuit majority ruled against Mumia Abu-Jamal's Batson claim in 2008, it ignored irrefutable evidence that Abu-Jamal's defense had been blocked from introducing the very evidence that the Third Circuit majority faulted the defense for introducing. During the 1995 post-conviction relief proceedings, Judge Albert F. Sable, the devil itself in a black robe, the original 1982 trial judge, literally had Abu-Jamal's lawyers arrested for trying to subpoena clerks from the Pennsylvania and Philadelphia court system as part of the defense PCRA petition, argument that jury pools were not drawn from a fair cross-section of the community. Outrageously, in 2008, this is evidence that they're trying to put on record. Outrageously, in 2008, when the Third Circuit Court ruled against Abu-Jamal's Batson claim, the court actually justified the denial by citing the absence of the very data that his lawyers had been arrested in court for trying to obtain. They was doing legal stuff by putting it there. So they take it out, and then they turn around when it's, and say that, you messed up because you didn't put it in. So a lot of people be seeing things and they don't understand why things aren't there. It's because these monsters intent on killing Mumia took things out. Judge Albert Salo prevented the 1982 jury from knowing prosecution witness Robert Sherwood's probation status. Mumia's attorneys are currently arguing that Sable's ruling here was wrong. Kind of messy to explain their arguments why, so the key point is just that they are, and that you think Sable was wrong to block the jury from knowing. Key point, this probation status, with him driving his taxi with a suspended license, made him vulnerable to police pressure. There is an Amnesty International quote below about his story, how his story changed over time to fit the prosecution's theory. At Prosecutor Joseph McGill's request, Judge Albert Sable blocked Abu-Jamal's defense from telling the 1982 jury that key prosecution witness, taxi driver Robert Schobert, was on probation for throwing a Molotov cocktail into a schoolyard for pay. We're going to go back into Schobert in a minute. Judge Sable justified this by ruling that Schobert's offense was not criminal, a crime of deception. Now, throwing a Molotov cocktail in a schoolyard is criminal. Consequently, the jury never heard about this, nor that on the night at Abu-Jamal's arrest, Sherbert had been illegally driving on a suspended license, revoked for DUI. This probation violation could have sent him back to prison, so he was extremely vulnerable to pressure from the police. At the 1995 post-conviction relief hearing, Sherbert testified that his probation had never been revoked, even though he continued to drive his taxi illegally through 1995. Both the official crime scene photos and the Pedro Polikoff crime scene photos show that the space where Sherbert testified to being parked directly behind Officer Faulkner's car was actually empty. He was not there. While prosecution witness Cynthia White is the only witness to testify in seeing Sherbert's taxi parked behind Faulkner's police car, no official eyewitness reported seeing White at the scene. Sherbert was there taking pictures from the very beginning. Sherbert's taxi wasn't there, neither was Cynthia.
Tired of black people getting free people stuff they didn't do, man. I'm tired of that, man.
Amnesty International, brother, let me speak. Amnesty International, you had time. Amnesty International documents that both Robert Sherbert and Cynthia White altered their descriptions of what they saw in ways that supported the prosecution version of events. Sherbert first told police that the shooter simply ran away. But after he had identified Abu-Jamal at the scene, he said the shooter had run away 30 to 35 steps before he was caught. At trial, Sherbert changed the distance to 10 feet, which was closer to the official police account that Abu-Jamal was found just a few feet away from Officer Faulkner. The summary of Lynn Washington and Dave Lindoff, 2010. Key points is the test physically proves Robert Sherbert and Cynthia White lied. Lynn and Dave gave the DA the results, asked for a response, and got a bullshit answer. One more example of the DA's office not caring about truth or justice. The test was performed in 2010 by Philadelphia journalists Lynn Washington and Dave Lindoff. They sent a crime scene photo by Pedro Polikoff to NASA photo analyst Robert Nelson, asking him to look for any markings from the bullets that Mumia was accused of shooting downwards at Faulkner. Washington and Lindoff also sent Robert Nelson a photo of a concrete slab that they shot a .38 revolver into, which displayed clear markings where the bullets made contact. After applying the same technological use to analyze photographs taken in outer space, the NASA analysts couldn't find anything in the crime scene photo that resembled the bullet marks visible on the concrete. Washington and Lindoff concluded that the whole prosecution story of an execution-style slaying of the officer by Abu-Jamal will appear to be a prosecution fabrication, complete with coached, perjured witnesses, undermining the integrity and fairness of the entire trial. Let me repeat that. Here's physical evidence that completely disproves the prosecution theory used to convict Mumia. This also proves that prosecution eyewitness Robert Sherbert and Cynthia White's testimony was a lie. We concluded our petition by citing Washington and Lindorff tests because this is such powerful evidence for exposing the frame-up. D.A. Krasner must not ignore this. Before publishing these findings, Dave Lindorff and Lynn Washington informed the Philadelphia DA's office the results of their tests and specifically asked the DA for a quote to explain the lack of photographic evidence or testimony about the impact marks in the sidewalk around Faulkner's body. The DA office responded to their question with what Lindorff and Washington considered to be a non-response. All the DA office told them was the murderer has been represented over the past 20 plus years by a multitude of lawyers, many of whom have closely reviewed the evidence for the sole purpose of finding some bias to overturn the conviction. As you know, none has succeeded, and Mr. Abu-Jamal remains what the evidence proves a murder. You know, I'll get back to that, and I'm quite sure we all will. On the move game. On February the 3rd, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner filed a new brief in Mumia's case, where he continued to defend the legitimacy of Mumia's 1982 conviction. D.A. Krasner's several years of opposing Mumia's appeal has already been vile and disgusting. However, with this new brief, he somehow manages to stoop even lower. There's much to criticize about D.A. Krasner's February 3rd brief, but one particular aspect really stood out to me. On page 5, in the section titled Statement of Facts, this is Krasner's shit. The officer Faulkner was put in a police van and rushed to Jefferson University Hospital. When the police attempted to handcuff the defendant and place him in a police wagon to transport him to the hospital, he violently resisted. He continued to struggle against the officers. When they subsequently brought him inside the hospital, the same one in which doctors was attempting to save Officer Faulkner's life, the officers carrying defendant, he refused to walk, temporarily placed him on the floor of the lobby next to the entrance to the emergency room. Does D.A. Krasner oppose lynchings? Has D.A. Krasner actually read the trial transcripts? If so, no. I can't see. Right there. Okay. So, has D.A. Krasner actually read the trial transcripts? If so, does he realize the implications of him describing Mumia's arrest in such a despicable way? What actually happened that morning when police arrived on the scene was an attempted lynching of Mumia, with the police acting as the white supremacist lynch mob. Before even speaking with a single eyewitness, the mob of cops brutalized Mumia so viciously that when his sister Lydia Barashango arrived at the hospital, she could not even recognize him. Make no mistake. They wanted him to die from the gunshot wound before receiving medical treatment, ultimately taking over 30 minutes to begin treatment at the hospital. This was an obvious attempt to execute him before even conducting an investigation. We alone a fair trial. Okay. Before conducting an investigation. They didn't want a fair trial. They wanted him to die.
Right.
Has D.A. Krasner read the trial transcripts of defense? witness Desi Hightower, who reported seeing someone fleeing the crime scene immediately after the arrest was being and attacked by the police. In his book, The Framing of Mumia Abu-Jamal, author J. Patrick, this thing here. In his book, The Framing of Mumia Abu-Jamal, J. Patrick O'Connor summarizes Hightower's trial testimony. He said that shortly after the first police officer showed up, about 8 or 9 other officers arrived. He then observed 3 or 4 of them striking Abu-Jamal with nightsticks, while one of the 2 others was kicking him. Mind you, steel-toed boots was kicking him, pulling him by his dreadlocks. He also saw the police and carrying Abu-Jamal to the police van, ran his head into a no parking pole and dropped him to the ground, splitting his head wide open. As D.A. Krasner read the trial transcript of Dr. Regina Cudemo, who was working at the hospital when Mumia arrived, if not, author J. Patrick O'Connor has also summarized her account. She testified she saw Abu-Jamal at about 4:20 a.m. on the floor, on what I call the treadles of the emergency room, the mats outside the emergency room. Krasner seemed to think that he was on the hospital floor, but he was in that part where them treads is at. There were people walking, cleaning their shoes and stuff off. After observing this incident, she said she was directed by another police officer to leave the area. O'Connor also writes that after Mumia was dropped on the entryway to the emergency room, instead of taking Abu-Jamal to an operating room, hospital security guard Priscilla Durham had the police drag him to the family room. Only after this, Abu-Jamal was brought handcuffed to the emergency room for surgery. Does D.A. Krasner think an attempted police lynching, attempted police murder of a prominent black journalist, loving father, and respected community activist is some kind of a joke? If he had read the trial transcripts of Desi Hightower and Regina, why is he not concerned about Mumia's treatment by police that morning? Last page. Lastly, how could he possibly write such an offensive description of Mumia's treatment by police, like claiming that Mumia refused to walk? How the hell could he walk? He was beat, head rammed into a pole, beat by blackjacks, kicked with steel-toed shoes, boots, steel-toed. And Krasner talked about he refused to walk.
And he was shot.
Yes, indeed.
He was shot.
Yes, that's it, and shot. Refused to walk into the hospital after he had been shot in the chest and nearly beaten to death. We need answers from Krasner.
That's right. Yes, we do.
We can go over certain things, in here. People who know things should step up and could fill in some of these blanks here. Like the fact that when they claimed Mumia shot Faulkner, he straddled him, took the gun, and shot. Bang. Faulkner rolled to the left. Faulkner rolled to the right. Bang, bang, bang. You see my jacket, it was cold like this. Mumia had a one-piece jumpsuit on. And he's shooting. And all of a sudden, they say Mumia shot Faulkner in the face. Faulkner returns a shot. Mumia's leaning over him. Faulkner returns a shot into Mumia's body. And but where Mumia was shot in Then Mumia was shot with a bullet going down. Faulkner was on the ground, Mumia's over top of him, so the bullet should have been going this way. What they said, that on court records, they said that when the bullet went here, it hit Mumia's chest bone and it did a 360 and went right on back down the other way. Who the fuck do they think we are? You know, for real. Who do they think we are? And you know, for something like that, they think that we would believe that. There's several more points. Gabe, you want to speak? Yeah. So I'm turning it over to Gabe, and there's several other points. We have Dr. Ross here. We have Joe Piet here. We got Brother Bob here. We got Brother from Uhuru. We got another sister from New York here. We got the baby cub Panther, Donnie J, representing the Panthers here. And Yane, is that you? Okay, Yane, is that you? we have our good, trained for a crime he didn't commit, who know the injustice that goes on here. Our good brother, Reverend Keith. Yes. CRS is real, y'all. In case nobody know what that is, I can't remember shit sometimes. But we all get by with help from our friends. So when you see me lagging here a minute, because all this stuff is so much stuff going on, and I'm thinking of several things, you know, now, and I might skip something, bring me back. Chip in. We all a part of this. Our job today here is to bring the information out and expose Krasner for what it is that he is doing.
Shame on Krasner! Shame on Krasner!
Yes.
Shame on Krasner!
Yeah. Now, you know, the different points that he brought out, Krasner, and he didn't tell people that, you know, a lot of that stuff, you know, because he said, oh, they didn't file this, and they didn't file that. He didn't go deep enough into the records to see that they threw all the stuff out that he was saying that they didn't file. It was there. And they did make some errors and forgot to file or untimely filing on things. But what the hell? We talking about somebody's life here. A judge granted them time to put in some information. When you go digging through at this time, all the years and years of evidence to prove Mumia innocent and all the throwaway stuff, this is his job. He's the DA. He got to look at things on both sides. They say his job is, a lot of people say his job is to actually, you know, make sure somebody's convicted for a crime. But if you have evidence of innocence, it is your duty to do the right thing. It is our duty to make sure that we do the right thing. And brothers and sisters, I'm so thankful to see all y'all out here today to let them know that we are still working. We're getting stronger. We're on the move. Again, people have come from different areas. And, you know, they said the streets was going to be like ice. And a lot of people came. They came to New York. Now, it's going to be that way later on in the night, so they say. But the source of life always gives us a way to get the information out. So, Gabe, you speaking on, got some other stuff.
On the move, y'all.
On the move!
On the move, y'all.
On the move!
Free Mumia!
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 On the move, y'all. On the move. So good seeing everybody. I don't know about you. They talked about black ice, but I'm fired up today. They talked about it being cold, but I'm fired up today, Pam. It's winter time, but we fired up. We're organized, mobilized, ready to roll, and ready to release the truth to the people. We're tired of the lies. We're tired of the cover-up. We're tired of the corruption. We're tired of no good deception. We're tired of DAs who continue a tradition of trying to murder our brother, of trying to eliminate our brother, are trying to terminate our brother. We won't let them do it. Are we going to let them do it? Are we going to let them do it?
Hell no!
We are tired of no good, wicked, evil people under the banner of so-called progressive trying to use certain language of the day, trying to use certain language and words and verbiage that's trendy and say, you know what, we're the progressive DA. I don't give a damn how much you want MSNBC. I don't give a damn how much you want Democracy Now. I don't care how much you want CNN. Until you do that for Mumia, you mean a damn thing to us.
That's right.
And you are on the side of the right, and you are the enemy still, regardless of what TV show you want. We've been working here in this movement now. Our brother was incarcerated and in prison in 1981. And we find ourselves now in 2021. Now, I was never good at math, but you know, Brother Kamal tells me that's going on 40 years.
You're good at math.
And so, that's a couple of decades. That's decades of struggle.
That's more than a couple.
That's more than a couple, Brother Dada G. We're talking about 40 years, 40. I didn't say 14. I said 40, not 14. It's a long time to be in there. But what did Mumia teach us? That even in the bowels and the belly of the beast, he's going to keep mobilizing. He's going to keep speaking the truth. He's going to keep trying to teach us, trying to educate, trying to inform, and be that strong black radical journalist that he's always been.
Can't be stopped.
Whether he's behind bars or not, whether he's locked up or not, if he has to give out a 2-minute, 2.5-minute, 3-minute, 4-minute phone call so it can be on prison radio, he's going to do that. Why? It's for the people. Who's it for?
The people.
Who's it for?
The people.
Who's it for?
The people.
Who's it for?
The people.
Who's it for?
The people.
It's for the people, man.
That's right.
It's talking about real liberation for the people.
Everybody.
He's not making divisions. He's not being caught up in our petty differences. He's talking about pure freedom, liberation of oppressed folks all around the world. And so to know that, right, because again, let me be very clear, this office ain't dumb. Huh? This office ain't dumb.
Right.
I'm speaking the truth. This office ain't dumb. They know what they're doing.
Yes, they do.
Ain't no mistake.
They know what the fuck they do.
Ain't no error. Ain't no misunderstanding, miscommunication. No, they are very clear and very intentional about their practice. They are moving in a position that is dedicated to quelling this movement and trying to move on from the movement. See, they want Mumia Abu-Jamal in the past. They want our sister Janine Janet in the past. But they're here today. Why? Because the movement said we got to get them free. And we will never stop. We want to abolish the FOP.
Yes.
Abolish them. We will abolish
We want to abolish the police.
We will abolish the police.
We got to abolish Krasner. This whole thing has to be upended. Let's make that very clear. This whole thing has to be upended.
No question.
Huh?
No question at all.
I'm talking about a complete reversal and destruction and a rebuilding of what it means to have justice in the world.
No compromise.
That's right.
It's all money. It's business.
That's right. We know the vestiges of, and I'm going to close with this, y'all, because we got other folks here who are, you know, want to get their word. If we're going to keep it democratic so that everybody can get their piece. But I'm going to be honest, man. I spoke to Mama Pam this past weekend multiple times. We was on the phone. And I'm so sick of You know, I get calls like you all from comrades across the country. Oh, Brother Gabe, y'all doing great work in Philadelphia because y'all got that progressive DA. Brother Kemba, y'all got that progressive DA who's on your side. I get the call from Houston. I get the call from Chicago. I get the call from Oakland. I get the call from New York, from Baltimore, from Detroit, from D.C. Yo, Brother Gary, y'all doing great work. I got that progressive DA out there doing his thing. He's not doing his thing. We can be objective. We can be objective. He's doing some things. But until he reaches Mumia, he ain't doing a damn thing.
That's right.
That's my hardline position.
What's his job?
That's my hardline position. Huh? So, we're talking clear. I want to bring somebody up. But just want to say this, y'all. I believe, based on the power of the numbers today, the power of the numbers that are yet to come, that we are going to bring this man home. Sooner than later, y'all. I believe it in my heart. I believe it in my soul. I believe it in my mind. It's not naivety. It's not any sort of wish. In the same way that we've had victories for the past several years with regards to who? How many folks have come home in the past years due to the work and dedication of the masses of the people?
They too old danger.
That's right. Huh?
Jaleel Muntekin.
Call him out. Jaleel Muntekin. He's home. Herman Bell. Home. 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 Eddie. Home. Move 9. Home. Robert King. Home. I've been Woodfox. Home. 40-something years. So, I don't care how long it takes, but it's going to be soon. We are moving with urgency and patience. Because we know it might not be tomorrow, but it's going to be real for damn sure soon. So with that being said, y'all, I say peace and power to y'all. All power to the people. All power to the people. Free Mumia. Free Mumia. Free Mumia. Free Mumia. Bring him home. Bring him home. Bring him all, y'all.
I believe that we will win.
I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win, y'all. So we got up next. Woman Pam. Who's speaking? We got that Sam Ross, y'all. Come on, y'all. Give it up for Sam Ross. Come on, y'all. Give it up for him.
They needed somebody short. You know, this past week, I'm sure this new enemy of ours, Larry Krasner is an enemy of ours right now. He's chosen to become an enemy. He was not originally maybe an enemy, but look at the choices he's made. He stepped up to the plate to be one of them, to do their work. He has completely betrayed Mumia. He's made the devil's bargain with the system, with the FOP, with all the former DAs, with the ruling forces in this city. He has made a devil's bargain. I'll let some people out, but never Mumia. That's the deal. We saw it in the courtroom a couple of years ago when he first showed his true loyalty to the system in a deep way. We saw that he had made a devil's bargain. There's no way that getting out Janet and Janine and the other MOVE people will be traded for leaving Mumia in prison. This is not a deal that people make. This is not an acceptable deal. And Krasner, we see right through your bullshit and your attempt to look like a good guy and your PR work around the country. I'm sure this last week, Krasner was denouncing, like millions of other people, the acquittal of Trump. I'm sure he was saying it was outrageous that Trump was not found guilty. Look at this society. Trump is not guilty.
but Mumia can't be declared innocent? This is something we have to look at every single day and say, this is outrageous. Krasner, don't give us your bullshit about Trump. We don't want to hear you're against Trump. We want you to stop being in collaboration with the enemy on Mumia. Nothing you can do will trade for that. There is no substitute that you can bring in to say that it's worth it to give up Mumia's life for this and that he considers progressive. That's not a deal progressive, decent people ever make. That's what the Nazis used to get the Jews to do. Sell out some of them, and we'll allow the others to get out. I've read those books. The traitorship, the betrayal of people like that is what reactionaries do. It's what Nazis do. It's not what progressive DAs do. You are not a progressive DA as long as you're complicit in the death of Mumia. Death by life in prison, death by whatever means. They've tried everything. They've tried everything to get Mumia killed. We've seen it, whether it was Hep C or the original arrest. Krasner says that transcript did not show guilt. That transcript of Mumia's original arrest was the first attempt to kill him. And how many attempts have there been since then?
Too many.
Many, too many. And who knows what they come. And Krasner is the last attempt, not the last attempt we've seen to kill him. So they weren't able to kill him with this and that and that. Now they bring in the so-called good guy with a reputation around the country as a liberal. You ain't even a liberal, Krasner. You're a sellout. I don't want to say dog or pig or anything like that because we are a community of animal lovers, but you are a lowlife to be making deals like this. And we will never forget it. You will not go down in history as a liberal DA. You will go down in history as a sellout. Krasner, you are a sellout. Krasner, you are a sellout. Free Mumia. Free them all.
Okay.
Who's coming next? Janine? Janet?
Yoo-hoo!
Here comes Uhuru.
Hey, Uhuru. Freedom all! Freedom all! Free Mumia! Free Mumia! All right, Uhuru. For those who don't know, Uhuru means freedom. I'm part of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. My name is Ikemba. I appreciate just being out here among you all in this fight, in this struggle to bring Mumia home, who should have been home. An innocent man spending all this time in prison. And, you know, when you think about the contradiction, you look at the history and what was happening in the 60s and the 70s with all of these, and it's still going on now, but all of these police officers who were raiding offices in the Black Panther Party and other organizations, Revolutionary Action Movement, so many organizations out there that was fighting for liberation, so many of our freedom fighters who was murdered by the hands of the police, by the hands of this government, and nobody has been brought to justice. None of those people. All the people that was involved, they just came out with a movie, Judas and the Black Messiah. They showed you on screen the murder of Fred Hampton. They don't deny it. They don't deny that they assassinated Fred Hampton, 21-year-old Fred Hampton. They don't deny any of the assassinations or murders that they commit. And nobody has been brought to justice. But we have an innocent man in Mumia Abu-Jamal who's still sitting in prison. So that shows you the contradiction in this society.
Finally, we got cell phones to record stuff now. You know what I mean?
It still doesn't work. We got stuff on cell phone, and they still coming home.
8 minutes.
The murder of Mike Brown is free. The murder of Trayvon Martin is free. But an innocent man like Mumia is home. So we just got to understand the contradictions that exist in the society. And it's by design. It functions that way by design. Who was it? I think it's J. Edgar Hoover, you know, who said that by the end of, I think it was 69, he wanted the African population in this country to know if you become a revolutionary, you'll be a dead revolutionary. And so, and so you got to understand, even with the incarceration of our freedom fighters, that's to scare us. That's a fear tactic to keep us from coming out here fighting and struggling for what we need to be fighting and struggling for, and that's our liberation. They want us to be subservient. They want us to be slaves. And we can't be fooled. We can't be fooled after the 13th Amendment. You know, they say that African people were free, but we was fighting for the right to vote for 100 years, and we're still being disfranchised. So many contradictions that exist in the system, and Mumia was exposing these contradictions. This is why he's in jail. He's a political prisoner. He's a prisoner of war. African people have been at war ever since the first African was kidnapped from the continent. Ever since then. And so we got to keep struggling. We got to keep being out here. And I want to do my part, whatever I can do. You know, I wish my comrade had time to organize more comrades to come out here. But let's link. Just let me know. I want to get our organization involved as much as possible because Mumia should not be sitting. This is a major struggle. This is a major struggle. Major. This is very significant. And we bring Mumia home, that will say a lot. That will say a lot to the system, to the people in the power structure. That would tell them that we're not going to stop fighting until they all come home. Until they all come home. Free them all. Free them all. So yeah, so just just remember that term Uhuru, that's Swahili, because that's another thing. We gotta get back to our original tongue too. We gotta get back to our original tongue. We gotta, and it's very important when we understand. This is the last thing I want to leave you with, because I know there's other people that want to speak. But this is a settler colonial state. At the end of the day, this is a settler colonial state. And so we have to overturn that. And y'all talking about DA progressive, like, you know, ain't no DA gonna do what they need to do for us to get free. You know, we're the only people who are gonna be able to free ourselves. So, you know, Krasner, I ain't even going. Yeah.
We've been quiet long enough.
We've been quiet long enough. Yeah, but this, this motherfucker right here, Krasner. I expect him to do what he's been doing. He's no progressive. He's no liberal. There's no right. There's no left. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's maintaining the power structure. He's maintaining white power of this colonial state. So let's continue to fight. Uhuru.
Reverend King.
Yes, sir.
From China.
There can be no justice on stolen land. We talk about justice and democracy. The word democracy is not even in the Constitution. It's not in any state constitution. We talk about progressive and liberal. Those are all words created by the white supremacist power structure to keep those that are uninformed and those that don't understand, to keep us at odds while they continue to do what Krasner is doing. Krasner is just another one in a long line of Ed Rendell, All Inspector, Seth Williams, and so on and so on. They tell us that it's too hard to judge the police. But when the cop was drunk and ran into the building, he got fired. If the cop gave his taser to somebody, he got fired. So they can judge them when they want to, and when they don't want to, they play on the ignorance of the public. But we are here today on President's Day, which I call Slaveholders Day, to say not any longer. I was blessed on July 4th, 2019, to visit Mumia for 3 hours. It changed my life. I was blessed to see Brother Dell in Dallas. May he rest in power. But anytime you stand against the empire, Anytime you stand against this settler colonial state, you become an enemy of the state. And when you're an enemy of the state, you're a marked person. Because the goal is to get you to compromise. And by us standing here today, we say no compromise. We say no compromise. America is a crimogenic society. Thank you, Dr. Amos N. Wilson. This society is based on crime. The crime of genocide, rape and torture of the indigenous, the crime of the enslavement of the African, and the continued crime against the war, against the poor, and those that are politically disenfranchised. There is no right, there is no left. There's only justice. And we stand here today to say, justice, no peace. We're not tired, and we're continuing this fight. Krasner came in on the backs of people like us. Let us not forget that. Same thing as the DA where I live in Delaware County, Stolzheimer came in on the backs of people like us, the traumatized, the poor, those that have been disenfranchised, not the mocha latte, sucking living room people, us. We determine, as Malcolm said, who goes to the doghouse and who goes to any other house. So we can no longer be pulled into that sway. Oh, the lesser of two evils, to hell with that. It's the evil of two lessers. It's the evil of two lesser people. We cannot allow them to play that Jedi mind game on us any longer. They tell us, oh, he was a good guy. Yeah, he had a record being a civil prosecutor. He fought for black people. But once you get into that empire, that's before he joined the empire. He's a part of the empire now. And once you join the empire, that's like a blood oath. He's not going to betray the empire for people like us. So therefore, our loyalty to him is out the door. We have to stand for it. We should have never had loyalty to him. How about that? That's good, brother. That's right. But by us being here today, they said the ice and the this and the that, but the odds have always been against us. To hell with the odds. There was a time when they said slavery would never end. But we had to fight and die to make it part of it ended. Of course, you know the 13th Amendment, it's a clause in there. There was a time when women couldn't vote, but they fought and fought and fought. So the battle is not over, but we're energized by opposition. One of my African friends told me, he said, Pastor Keith, you Americans need to understand opposition should energize you. That should cause you to get up a little earlier, stay up a little later, take care of your body, because you got to get this body in action to do what we're doing out here today, so we can fight this good fight of faith. This is the empire right here, this building right here. And when you look at all the political prisoners and all the people that should not have ever been caught into the system, they're trafficking still in black bodies. You go into these courtrooms, all you see is a sea of blackness from one side to the other. Statistics show that 80% of crime in America, according to the white FBI, because the FBI is white, is committed by white people. But somehow from the time they get charged with a crime to the time to go to court, they're not there. Because the system is designed to filter them out of the system while they continue to traffic in our bodies. And we're here to say no more. Mumia is known around the world. They hate that. They hate our consistency. 40 years, they figure, ain't them Negroes tired yet? Ain't them good white people tired? No, we're not tired yet. And that drives them crazy. And I say to all, keep driving them crazy. Until Mumia comes home, keep up the fight. Keep up this fight. Because they all got to be free. My brother Jamil El-Alamin, all of them got to be free. In this incarceration nation. We have to fight to free them all. It's an honor to be here with you today. Free them all. Free them all. Free them all. Free them all. Thank you so much.
No compromise. No retreat. I'm tired of being in prison, being the only white guy in there looking look around, I'm the only white guy there. It's a warehouse of black people, man. I'm tired of that stuff, man. I'm tired of looking around and being the only white guy there. You know what I mean? It's warehouse of black folks for dumb shit, man. I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of watching it. I'm tired of letting it change the back law. They need to change more laws. They need to stop disenfranchising black people. Stop setting them up for front day and do. Stop triggering people, man. Choking them for 8 minutes and shit. Shoot them 14 times.
They thought we'd struggle and then get tired.
I'm tired of this shit, man.
But Philly is on fire.
Yeah, that's right.
Brick by brick, wall by wall, we're going to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. Brick by brick, wall by wall, we're going to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. Because ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people. Ain't no power like the power of the people, because the power of the people. It's true. It's true that there is no power like the power of the people. All of the power that they have is our power. This system has no power without us. We have to make sure that we remember that, because we keep empowering this system. We're the ones that keep it up. We're the ones that keep it afloat. We redirect our energy and our power into trying to get some of their power when their power is extracted power. It's not real power. We have the real power. We are the real power. Black is power. We say Black Lives Matter, and it's true, but who are we talking to when we say that? We keep talking to people who do not matter. We have to talk to each other and remember that we are the ones that have the power. This system has no justice in it. As the brother said, you can't have justice on a stolen land. You can't get that. So we have to recognize that. We cannot expect anything like that from there. If there was any kind of sense of justice, but who was it that was talking about the film? That was Brother Kimba talking about that film where it's not at all questioned the way that they attacked black people for the simple act of working to be free and to be safe from the violence and the oppression of the system. People were attacked and murdered consistently in prison for standing up for what is right. And we stand here now in 2021 looking back to what was happening during that time with no confusion and no controversy around it. It's clearly understood what was happening, and yet they still have so many people imprisoned, even though it is understood the conditions under which they were put in prison. These are conditions in which there was no justice, and where people had to make a choice between being murdered or being killed, between being murdered or to stand up for their own lives. And if you stand up for your life against the system, then you're considered criminal. So, if they know that there was no justice at that time, look at what happened in 78 to the Move 9. They had a film that came out that demonstrated that. The lies, the destruction of evidence. They took down a whole building in order to ensure that their insistence on railroading our family members would be able to move forward. We know that that's what happened, and yet you want to look back at that time and pretend there's any way that there was justice in that environment, to pretend that there's any way that there was anything legitimate about those trials where they railroaded freedom fighters all day long. We know that that is the reality. So for that reason alone, the right action is to let all of them free. All of them. Mumia lets us know that all prisoners are political prisoners.
They shut prisons down, they did that.
They need to let all of them free. If you really believe that Mumia is actually guilty, then make sure he gets a real trial. You shouldn't be afraid of a real trial. The only reason they don't want to allow him to have an actual true trial, which is not even really possible, you can't actually have a legitimate trial in this illegitimate system. You can't do it anyway. But they won't even try to pretend, because if they run the rules properly over his trial, he would be released. That's the only reason to stand against it with something that means so much to so many people all over the world. Why wouldn't you want to just say, we have enough here to create the opportunity for him to have a trial so that the people have to shut up and have to recognize that we were right? Why wouldn't they want to do that? The only reason they don't want to give him a free trial, give him another trial, is explicitly because he is innocent. That's the only reason. That's the only reason that they will not actually establish his right to have a trial. So we have to recognize that. We have to start thinking in our strategies around how we deal with a system that has no legitimacy, no validity, and no justice in it. We have to be thinking about that process so that we have to figure out how to be a little bit more aggressive with this system to get what we need out of this system. We can't beg them to give us justice because they don't know what justice is. Even if they wanted to give it to us, they wouldn't know how to do it because they don't know how to recognize it. They don't know what justice is. So we have to be prepared to fight, and to fight in an aggressive way, whatever that means. We have to be strategizing aggressively in order to ensure that our brother comes home, because the conditions under which he is living in and the condition of his health does not give us any room and space to move with any slowness. We have to be consistent with urgency. We have to expand the base that is fighting for Mumia and for all of our political prisoners, because we have to get them home. We can't have any more. We cannot lose any more behind bars. And they need to be released and have enough time to have some life outside of the system.
That's right.
They deserve. Mumia deserves time. He deserves time. We cannot have him come out of the system and then be gone within months. We cannot do that, and we cannot have that anymore. So we have to do all that is necessary, and we have to recognize who our enemy is. And there is no such thing. Progressives, liberals, they're all the same. Moderates, conservatives, they're all names for different ways of engaging the same process and getting us to the same end. None of it is any different. And they use these labels to try to confuse us. There should be no confusion. If you are inside of this system, you are an enemy. You are an enemy. And you will be treated like an enemy. And we cannot have any trust and any hope in anything but each other and ourselves. Free our political prisoners. Free them all. Free them all. Free all political prisoners. Free them all. Free them all. Free all political prisoners. Free Mumia. Free Mumia. Free Mumia. We have to do this work. We have to be committed to this work. And we have a lot that we have to do. It's a lot. It's overwhelming, and we know that. It's a lot when we're in solidarity with our family in Haiti. It's a lot when we're in solidarity with our family in Nigeria. It's a lot when we're in solidarity with our family in Uganda. Y'all got friends who I got to keep checking to see if they're alive because their government already tortured them, and they're going back into their government to see if they're going to be tortured again. This is the reality that we are facing all around the world. There is a war against black people. And the war against black people is on every shore. And this system here is the driving force of that war. And we have to engage all of these situations with the acknowledgement that we are at war. They know it. A lot of times we seem not to know it. This system knows that it is engaging in a war against our people and against our bodies, because we represent all of the material realities that uphold this system. It cannot function without us, and it cannot function without our resources on our continent. There is absolutely no way that this system will be able to last even 6 months without the the resources of the African continent. So African people's freedom is the biggest threat to this system. And people who speak to that and people who recognize that are also a threat because they can wake people up. That is why Mumia is in prison. Because Mumia speaks the truth. And we have to always be his soldier and warrior for him and for all of our siblings that are being held in these cages until we tear all of these cages down. Peace.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was beautiful. Thank you.
I want to say to the people that's in there in them cameras in your houses where it's warm, it's cold out here, but we got a message. I want to remind people, one of the things that really pissed me off with Krasner is when he told Maureen Faulkner that Mumia was guilty. So you know when you say Mumia is guilty, you're talking about standing arm in arm with Sabo. You're standing arm in arm with the Fraternal Order Police. You are standing arm in arm with injustice all the way around. When we were in the building, where the hell was that building at? The Criminal Justice Building. CJC. The last time we was in there and Judge Tucker made his decision that Mumia deserved an appeal, that day we knew something was going on. Oh my God. They had cops on the outside, cops on the inside. They wouldn't drug them out from their retirement homes. They came in wheelchairs. They had the state police, the city police, the police for the inside of the building. Whatever kind of police you had the youngest and you had the oldest. Courtroom was full. They had a cop standing there when people was trying to get in. Now, we know, because we've been inside these buildings for over 40-something years on a consistent basis. No cop belong on the front door telling people that they cannot come in. The courtroom is full. This is what they were doing to people. And since we've been doing this stuff for a long time, and he was standing there, he looking at me, and I said, excuse me, went in there, looked in the courtroom, well damn, there's a plenty seats in here. Went out there, told the people to come in. But one thing, by being on the move all these years, you can sense the insanity. You can feel the insanity. You can feel it. Told the people on the outside, we had people with their children in there, the elderly in there, and all these cops was like on one side, and we're on the other side, and people on the outside, and they had them all through there. Something is going on here today, and that is unusual, that don't usually happen. They be there, but not in this kind of number. Me, myself, I never knew that Judge Tucker was a black man. I was always the one who organized the outside, made sure all our people got on the inside, and because I don't stand for these monsters, so that when they say, all rise for the judge, I'm not in there. So we are, I'm on the outside and was letting people know that they're getting ready to start some shit. And one thing is very clear. They have weapons. We don't have nothing, and we don't have cell phones. So brace yourself. If them mugs start moving over towards you, step back and let them pass. And because they will purposely, so that you can have a reaction, so that they can have a reaction. So we warned her. The courtroom doors flew open. We didn't know that the trial was the hell over. We out there on the outside, and all of a sudden, who steps out? Cops. Maureen Faulkner in the center, cops behind her, and she come marching, and she looked, and she looked past me. I said, Mrs. Polkovich, is something wrong? Her name is not Maureen Faulkner. She's been married for years. That whole thing of the widow that's, just waiting for justice for her husband, like she's been sitting there twiddling her thumbs. She's been married for years. So she was looking so crazy. I said, Miss Polkovich, what's the matter? She took a few steps. Anybody ever seen The Exorcist? Remember the girl that was in the bed when that head spent? She spent that fucking head around, them eyes was looking crazy. She said, you bitch, Mrs. Polkovich. And it was designed to, because some people say she called Pam a bitch, and they went to move, and we was like this. So they didn't get what they wanted there. We on the outside didn't know until people came outside and told us that she had been evicted from the courtroom because she tried that white woman privilege, cop privilege, but she had the wrong black judge. Because he told us, the people that was in the courtroom, I'm going to have order in here. Ain't going to be no howling and screaming and none of that. We didn't do that even when we saw injustice. And we waited till we got out and reported it. But she figured that they know they're losing, know that they had lost the case. And she's like, this isn't fair. What about Danny? I'm going to bring something back about Danny, right? On a cold day like this, Maureen Faulkner and Michael McConish was doing a TV show up in New York. Matt Maurer, what was it? What was his show? The morning show. She's bringing her book, and they bring, the show that she wrote a book about Danny. And while she's sitting there, she's saying, and they're holding the book up, part of my problem is everything. It's Mumia, Mumia, Mumia. That's all you ever hear them saying, talking about Mumia. Well, I wrote a book. And she said, nobody ever talks about Danny, so I wrote a book. So Matt said, what's the name of your book? Murdered by Mumia. Where the fuck is Danny? In the title. So I'm saying, she got that same thing. It just shows the mentality, there. But when she called me a bitch, I was going to go take the time. I walked over, me and several people that was in the courtroom, we worked over, and we was going to file a complaint, and, got the paperwork and stuff. And, it's a diversion, and I'm just glad and satisfied to everything inside me that we pushed that woman so far with the evidence of innocence, and that day in that court, she could not maintain that cold cool that she had. Her hair was frizzed all over the top of her head because this government told her, they won't win this, we got this, but the evidence in the courtroom went in Mumia's favor. That's when they left. They had a press conference. All the FOP got together at their place. And that's when she was approached by a journalist, and she was talking about what was happening. She was very distraught. And she says, we lost this. We didn't win. And that's when the cops were saying, the cops in suits, the cops in uniform, don't worry, Maureen. We're going to come up with something. King's Bench. Mumia cannot get a fair trial in here. That's been evident and it's been clear. We're not asking for a new trial for Mumia. In fact, Mumia never had a trial. That was a damn railroad. It didn't resemble a trial at all. Sabo was so insane. He was so insane that the Daily News and the Inquirer on the front page talked about how unjust he is, how he's going to throw the case. Krasner lived here then. He knew what was going on then, like he knows what's going on now. The frame-up for year after year after year, and then he pretended to be with us. And because let me tell you, they groom him early. They groom him early, like Obama was groomed early. To be like he's a part of the people. Oh man, they lock some people up. Let me get in here and act like he's a part of it. And I think at some point he was actually thinking he was serious. He got people to vote for him. Yeah, Larry Krasner, he's our man. And if Larry can't do it, nobody can. They was right. Larry did it. Because they groomed people into thinking when he was showing and dealing with Mumia from day one. He didn't pull no punches when he got in the DA's office. Prior to getting there, his words was, when I come in there, I'm cleaning house. Every filthy DA that was corrupt is going from our here. So then he calls for a meeting, and he's going to have his, what is that team called? Begins with an S. Not retention. Anyway, somebody was going to head help him.
The advisors.
No, it wasn't advisor. It'll come to me soon. Damn, hate that CRS. But anyway, whatever that position was, he gave it to Castile. Do anybody here know who Castile is?
Yeah.
He's one of the worst Hitler-spitting motherfuckers that ever walked the face of this earth. Not only was there people in Mumia's case that was raising about him, the reason why we were in court dealing with him is because 18 other people that we know of who had the means and the ways of filing a petition against the injustice that they put on him. Books and books and books of people who fell under the injustice of him. That's who he made that damn word. That word. Which he would have been heading, advising Krasner. Transition.
Yeah.
Go on, girl. Hey, I'm telling you what a family we are. Yeah. Anyway, this transition person who is there to ensure justice. The criminal is standing by. And also, when it happened, all the people that were supportive of him, that was saying, oh, look, you just don't know Larry. When he get in, he gonna do this, he gonna do that. Prove it to me. Day one, when I got on the phone, started calling people, and these different groups and organizations, oh no, ain't gonna be that way. We're gonna get with him. I said, solid. Let's have a press conference in front of his place. 11 o'clock the following day. Ain't no time to meet to say, well, we got to figure out how we going to say this petition here, or we need to do this. Oh, no, not Monday, won't do. I can't be there on Monday. Let's try for Wednesday. Oh, no, next week. It wasn't no time for that. Just like this started yesterday.
Like today.
And the only difference is, when we got there, how many people was there, Cindy?
5.
Me, you, Joe, the brother who had reparations.
Ari, Linda.
Yeah, Linda. You remember? I was like, well, what the hell? Where is everybody? Because people was going to say they're going to hold him to it. Well, we did what we do. We put the information out, and next thing I know, we're the problem. They want to make us the problem. I was on Michael Cord's show yesterday and was talking about this. Michael said that Krasner is a friend of his. He said, but this, he's 100% wrong, and I will not stand with him. He urged people to do all that they could do. He pointed out that, and he's been doing this for years, coming to demonstrations, filing things for us, and when our outside lawyers came in and they needed a lawyer and to host them so that they can work in court, that was him. He said, I don't know how he could actually stand up there and say that Mumia is guilty. How he can file the things that he filed, say the things that he said. He urged people to rise up. And he said, because he's a friend of mine that has a problem, he said, it's up to me to stick to my friend and also to tell each and every last one of you, to rise up. Don't allow him to be that. He said, I don't want Peruto and these other people for DA that's coming in, because people will say, if you go against Krasner, he's the lesser evil, and between the three, he's the lesser evil. But we don't want evil. Right. We don't want evil. Lesser or bigger. So, I say that to say to the listening people out there who's saying, oh shit, we gonna lose Larry, and we gonna wind up with them other two. It's going to be that big mouth Pam Africa and them people that support her and them ones that just haters. That's what they call us, haters. But Michael called us freedom fighters. He's a lawyer that knows this case inside out. He's a Kaepernick. Long before Kaepernick took that stand, there was people who had jobs, families, careers. Don't we all? And I admire Kaepernick for the stand he took. I admire Gabe for being here. He got a job. He worked with youth and so forth and so on. But he's a stand-up man for them. And will not bow down or bend down. He's always here. But out there, people are sitting back listening. Please understand this. You cannot accept any kind of evil. Michael said it is his job to deal with him. And he said he talked with the other people who feel that way. Krasner don't have to leave office if we get him to do the right thing. That's right. It's not hard to do that. All the evidence is there. How many cases do you have presidents of countries that stand firmly, don't back down, had millions of people, now I ain't playing, right there in Cuba, for Mumia, France, the president of France, the wife of the president of France, Danielle Mitterrand, came here to visit Mumia. Then she went over here to see Ed Rendell. He was mayor then. I'm talking about people who sing, because people, my job, my this, my that. How can you live with yourself? The only reason why they can fire you is because you don't take the stand and people don't take the stand with you. But these people are not afraid. So, for Krasner's lovers and who don't want the Peruto, and I can't think of who that other monster is. Carlos Vega. I'm saying there's some, Proud Boys. They're definitely that, and they don't play it. Whatever names that labels that freedom-loving, hating motherfuckers carry with them. I ain't gonna say it again. The emphasis was on that. You cannot be afraid of them. You gotta worry about your children, your mothers, your fathers, your family. And they think by taking the lesser of the evil instead of eliminating evil, period. They want to have it come in here little by little. Maybe we can. Look at the conditions we in. Our schools are closed down. The prisons are filled up. We done had black mayors. We done had black presidents. Everything that they said, they need to flip this thing over. But like Yane say, if they in this system, they are the system. They will protect this system. Anthony Jackson was Mumia's first lawyer. He told Mumia, he said, I don't think I can win it. I'm scared. And, I'm really, and he was. He had been threatened and stuff. So Mumia said, well, shit, you can't defend me. So when he went in court, he told the judge that Anthony Jackson could no longer be his attorney and what he said. The judge told Anthony Jackson, you defend him. You are, I don't even think the word was ward, but you are within this court system. I'm telling you to defend them. Trial, Mumia was kicked out the trial for speaking out about injustice. The lawyer failed him. We failed him because there was not enough people to stand up and do the right thing. This is a hell of a battle that we're in right now. Because these monsters are fighting for their way of life, and we're fighting to destroy it. That's right. Only difference is they got the bombs, they got the guns, they got this, they got that, but every wicked empire that they had has fallen. Why? Not because, they decided one day to do the right thing. Let me back off of this. The people rose up and each person told the other person and showed them, we in this together. And they overthrew them. But they divide us off. Krasner is dividing people off. Because you either for Krasner or you against him. The radio station that I go on, the Michael Ford be on, I found out that Krasner got 3 shots on here every week where he can come and speak. And the hosts, they love Krasner. You can't call up there and question Krasner about what he's doing. So all the audience here is what Krasner is saying. We need help. We need people, if they hang up on me and say no, then somebody needs to follow. Don't let them lines. This is how we did it in the earlier days. We had a media group. In that media group, there was a direct action media group that listened to the radio. Some of them was on the racist stations doing battle. When they hung up on one, then another one would call. They would organize a demonstration up there and around. We have got to confront these people and educate. I'm not talking about, getting there, antagonizing. We won over the entire NAACP. We won over the entire Black Congressional Caucus. Had them come out with words that they never came out with before. They came out, they wrote strong resolutions for Mumia because we was consistently there. We talked to everybody that was going into that building, and we would hand them information. People who didn't want it. But when the deal came down, we wound up on the inside of the building. Judge Matthews, who's on TV, was it you, Suzanne, he gave the table to? Anyway, the main ballroom, where the big thing at the end of the program happened, where everybody comes in there, that's where his table sat at. What Judge Mathis did, he gave us that table. He wanted people to see us at Judge Mathis' table. And that's where we was at. And he walked over and told the guards, don't mess with them. This is my table. I paid for it. They're there. So as people was walking by trying not to see us, and some was like, oh, what the hell are they doing here? We was cool. We passed out information, and we said Judge Mathis, gave us this table because he believed in what it is that we believed in. They were saying, well, let me see what you got. When I'm saying that's how we won a lot of things. Because we was at a lot of things and constantly, consistently educating people about what's going on. We got a job to do. Yes, you can. We need a Krasner watch. We need to know wherever Krasner's at. Anybody got any links? If you on Zoom and you find out he's on Zoom, don't call me. Get on Zoom. The information that you need to have is on the campaign to bring Mumia home. It's on the mobilization for Mumia. It's on several ones. Just put in Mumia, you find out all the different ones that prison radio, and all the information is on there. So I'm saying when you see him on there, you go after him because they see me, they probably cut me right on off. But the unsuspecting one, when the governors was having their meeting up in Vermont, all those elderly white ladies got together and men and went on the inside. They had these skirts on. This was awesome with Velcro on it. They went in, they sat down. Some was in the balcony, some was on the first floor. After a while, you see them take the skirts off and they hook with Velcro. One piece of the sign, another piece of the sign, and they stood there. Right on. This is in the media. They won over the governors. Yes. They were given, time to speak there. So I'm saying we got to be consistent in what we do. And dealing with people. You got to sit them down and talk and give them the information. And if they want to sit down and talk, because they'll get angry. You trying to explain to them about Krasner, they want to tell you the other thing. Oh, he's done a lot of good things. Definitely point that out. You can't trade it. But when it comes to Mumia, when it comes to cash bail, when it comes to so many other things that's wrong, they got to deal with that. These are things that he campaigned on doing.
That's right.
And didn't do it.
That's right.
Keep him at his word.
Period.
Well, Cindy had, let me say one more thing about the brother here. Because that's what I came up to talk about. Brother Keith, Reverend Keith, he's a hell of a minister.
Yes, he is.
When we demonstrated at the prison, he was there. Not only was there, he brought food for everybody. When we demonstrate in the street, he's there. And I knew sooner or later, because of the good that he do for young boys, for his community, he feed people, him and his wife and their congregation, they feed people on a daily basis. They're there, I don't care what demonstration, name some demonstrations, you'll see Reverend right here. So, I just want to acknowledge the fact that a lot of these ministers are scared to come and stand here. I don't know about their faith and who they believe in, but this brother believes in a higher source. And they did. They framed him and his wife. And we go to their cases all the time. When my sisters was in jail, when they came home, he helped take care of them. He made sure that certain needs that they had, he was there to provide them. Not only to my two sisters here, but to other family members. This is the kind of man that he is. And I just want to acknowledge it. His church is open, to everyone. It's a church like none other, because his church is a rally point for injustice. Reverend Pinckney, y'all people know him? Yes. He speaks at his church. Pam Africa speaks at his church. Y'all spoke at his church? No. Not yet? You heard that, not yet. And people of all hues speak at his church. So I just want to again acknowledge Reverend Keith Collins of Trainer. Yes. With your red, black, and green. And your Palestinian scarf. Yeah. I said, and Palestinian scarf. So Cindy, you want to wrap this up? She want to tell you about some of the things that we're doing. I'm going to be on WURD next Sunday at 12:10 is when I go on WURD 900 AM. And we will be announcing, where these speaking engagements is. And things that y'all do, let us know. Let us know so we can put it out there. Okay? On the move, Cindy. On the move. And thank you. Oh, here you are. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to inform you and let you know about a program, a piece that the Committee to Free Mumia, it's called Mobilization for Mumia on Facebook, is working on. It's going to be, we're still working on it, but it's going to be in about 2 weeks, on February the 27th, Saturday, from 2 in the afternoon till 4 in the afternoon. And basically, what we're going to be discussing on that program is all the same stuff that we talked about today. All right, like a background of Mumia, how it has international support the world over, videos from people all over the world that they're sending in. We're talking about this police state and what's going on with the police in Philadelphia and how finally, they're being made. It's going to take a while though, but they're being made and held accountable. They're having their budget hearings in public now. Mayor Kenny and Daniel Outlaw were forced to apologize in public, to hold a press conference and apologize. So we're going to talk all about, the stuff that's been going on in Philly with the local government and the FOP. Okay? We're also going to talk about, and basically this event is being held to talk about this recent developments, these recent things that have happened with Krasner and what he has filed. And we're going to explain that better because it's very complicated. And this case has gone on for so long, it's hard to keep track of all the stuff that's, been happening for 40 years. So we're going to have legal experts on this, and it will be online on a Zoom call. Legal experts explaining the case, and of course, our beloved Pam is going to, speak about the injustices of this case. So, like I said, we're still working on it, but we have the time and the date, and obviously it's going to be broadcast, where you can register and get the link and hook up with us. So that's all I wanted to say. Yes, once again, February 27th, that's a Saturday, from 2 in the afternoon till 4 in the afternoon.
This is an election year. Get out of here, Larry Krasner. You can't do the right thing. And all these white rebels out here running for office need to show up and do the right thing. Free Mumia.
Right.
Okay. I just want to, because we're getting ready to close out, and Sister Yane is going to lead us into a chant.
Yes.
But I want to acknowledge Sister Filet, Empress Filet. I didn't recognize her either. She's the sister who organized, who
That's right.
the Source of Light gave the activity to bring 1 million black women into this city and not use 1 penny from this government. She wanted to be independent of, to show her the strength and the power in black women. She shut this down. It was 2.5 million, they say. When they say 2.5, you better add another 3. But this government, again, they tore parts of it down, but they did not tear what God gave the source to actually do. Right now she's working on recharge genocide. And she's bringing in she wants 1 million petitions to sign to take to the UN later this year, like what later?
Well, we don't want to say the date yet.
Okay. But she's on the internet, and people can get in contact with her about what it is that she's doing. She didn't want to come up right now, but I just wanted to acknowledge her and the work that she do. I wish I knew Food Not Bombs lady. Oh, that's my Food Not Bombs lady. Yeah. And I see people that's around, I don't know your names, but you're always here, you're always bringing more people, you're right there on the front line. I just want to say thank you. So, Sister Yane, close us out.
Thank you, Cindy, for keeping us safe. We don't want to pass COVID around. You know, all lives matter, all our black lives matter, all the lives on the mics matter, you know. We got to keep ourselves safe so we can continue to be out here fighting. So, you know, one of our freedom fighters, Sister Assata Shakur, has spoken words and offered words that have become a part of tradition within our movement. We honor ourselves and honor her legacy is when we speak these words of reminder. And so we close out with these words of Assata Shakur. So I invite us to all say these words together. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We're going to say this one more time, and I want us to really, really listen to these words and embody these words as we move. It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to fight for our freedom.
It is our duty to win.
It is our duty to win.
We must love and support one another.
We must love and support one another.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Ashe! 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 We go in love, we go in light, we go in power.
You did too, yeah? Well, I'm trying to do too. I could, so I'm glad you guys could come.